Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Blue Elephants. My name is Shayla, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make the blanket for my Crispin Baby blanket pattern. You can find it over on my blog right now and in the links below. But in this video, I'm going to be showing you how I work the stitch. So here is the full blanket, and as you can see, and you'll see in the close-ups later on too, I use a modified Catherine wheel stitch to make the pattern for this blanket, and I'll be walking you through that and my modifications to the normal stitch in this video. I made this blanket using Knit Picks Mighty Stitch yarn, which are these yarns right behind me, and I love this yarn for baby blankets because it's super soft, super washable, super easy to clean, and they have so many colors to choose from. So for this blanket I went with fall leaves kind of theme. So yeah, in the next part of this video you're going to see how I make the actual blanket, and I will come back for a part 2 to show you how I do the border at the very end, so stay tuned for that as well. So for today's pattern, we're going to be using Knit Picks Mighty Stitch yarn in the color cream for our first color. And this is the worsted weight yarn. You can use anything you like as long as it's similar weight or similar thickness so that you can have the same dimensions as this pattern. But if you're using a different yarn, just make sure you use the right hook to go with it. Now, the full instructions for this pattern will be up on my blog, and you can get the exact stitch count and everything on that pattern, and it's available for free. But for this video, I just want to show you how to actually work the stitches and how to create the pattern that we're going for here. So this pattern is a modified version of a Catherine wheel stitch. Normally, Catherine wheel stitch has a little bit of a gap between the circles that the pattern creates. And for this pattern, because it's a baby blanket, I wanted to keep the holes a bit smaller and a bit more minimal. So I've modified the pattern a little bit, but it's super easy to follow, so that's what I'm going to show you how to do today. I'm using a 5.5 millimeter hook for this. This is an eye hook, and like I said, this is worsted weight yarn. So the pattern calls for a chain of a multiple of 10 plus 5. But for this, I'll just do a smaller sample of, let's go with 55. Okay, now that we have our chain of 55, we can begin working the pattern. So starting from the second space from the hook, we're going to work 2 single crochet. Let me see if I can bring this a bit more into focus. Okay, so we're going to work 2 single crochet starting from the second space from our hook. So we're going to insert our hook and do 1 single crochet and 2 single crochet. Now into this third stitch, we're going to work the first part of our Catherine wheel, and that's going to be by working 7 double crochet into that same space. So into this one stitch, this one chain space, we're going to work 7 double crochet. Okay. Now you can see we have our first loop, our first arch right here. Next, we're going to skip 3 spaces, so we're going to skip 1, 2, 3, and we're going to work a single crochet into each of the next 3 spaces after that. So skip 3, work 3 single crochet, and now into the next one we're going to do the same thing, just double crochet 7 into that space. And we're just going to repeat that all the way down the line until we get to our last stitch. So I'm going to continue this pattern, and when I get to my last stitch, I'll come back to show you what we do next. Okay, we did our last cluster, and now we're gonna skip 3, 1, 2, 3, and then in our next 3 we're gonna work 3 single crochet. So 1, 2, 3. Now we only have 1 stitch left, and into this stitch we're gonna work a cluster of 4 double crochet together. So it's kind of like just a half wheel instead of the full. So we're going to do 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now that is our first row done. Right now it's not laying flat because you've got all of the bumps pointing in different directions, but as you work your rows, it'll build up and it'll flatten out, so don't worry about that. One thing you want to keep in mind though is that make sure you work 7 double crochet into each of these, because it's really easy to lose count and that will mess up your counts later on. So just always make sure that you have 7. But for now, we're going to switch colors to the second color in our pattern, which is red. And for that, I am using Mighty Stitch yarn in the color Love Letter. So all we're going to do is chain 1 with our new color. I don't have my scissors on me, but I would go ahead and trim the white yarn. We're going to turn our work around. And now to start our second row, we're just going to single crochet 2, 1, 2. Now we're going to double crochet 7 together over the next 7 stitches here. So how we're going to do that is we're going to start a double crochet in each of the stitches and then close them all off together as one stitch. So you yarn over, insert your hook into the first space, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2 loops. Then we're going to do that again in the next one. That's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So we have 7 double crochets on our loop, which should be 8 loops total on your hook. So you have the 7 that you did, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then the loop from your last stitch. So now we're going to yarn over and pull through all 8 loops. Now just single crochet 1 to close it, and then we'll do 3 more chains. Sorry, I said single crochet, I meant chain. So it's a chain 4. The first chain closes our stitch, and then the next 3 are for our next step. Okay, now we're going to single crochet 3 along the tops of the next 3 stitches here. So just insert your hook and work 3 single crochet as you normally would. And now we're going to repeat that all the way down to the end of the line. So again, yarn over, we're going to 7 double crochet together. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Make sure you keep your yarn coming from your ball, the tension. Keep it loose. You don't want to have any like tightness or pulling because it will affect your gauge that way, and your stitches will be too tight and too close together. You want to make sure it's comfortable and everything has like make sure everything is flowing nicely. So like, we're going to yarn over and pull through all 8 loops and then chain 4. And then here's what that looks like. Now we're just going to repeat that again, working 3 single crochet along the top, and then again we're going to double crochet 7 together into this valley. One reason you want to make sure your counts are proper is because if you mess up your stitch counts between any of these like double crochet 7 to the same stitch rounds, it will throw everything off. It will throw your counts off a little bit, and that's while I was making the blanket for this pattern. That was a mistake that I would keep running into and keep having to fix because I would just miscount my stitches. So if it looks like something isn't lining up, that's probably why. An easy way to remember or to keep track of whether or not you have enough stitches is to check where your 5th stitch lines up. Your 5th stitch should always end up at the very bottom of this. So if you do 1, 2, 3, 4, and you see the very bottom one here is our 5th, 6th, and 7. If that 5th one is always right here at the bottom of it, then you'll know your next 3 will line up perfectly at the top and all of your wheels will line up like they're supposed to. So yarn over, pull through all of them, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're gonna single crochet 3, and then just keep working that until you get to the end of the row. Okay, now at the end of our row, we have our 3 single crochet at the top of our wheel here. And now for this last part, we don't have 7 places to double crochet into, so we're actually going to double crochet 4 together instead. So 1, 2, 3, and into our last space here, 4. Yarn over, pull through all 5 loops, chain 1, then we're going to turn our work around to start our next row. So you see how this is coming along? Now for our next row, we're gonna work the second round. That's gonna make the second half of these wheels. So we left off with our double crochet 4 together, and I already chained 1 to close that off. So we're going to chain 2 more. If you're working this at the end of the row, you would just chain 3, and that would be the end of the row. We're going to turn our work around and work 4 double crochet into this loop that closed off our cluster. We're going to count our chain 2 as a double crochet. So we're only going to work 3 more. 1, 2, 3. Now we're going to work 3 single crochet into the 3 single crochet from the row before. So 1, 2, 3 here. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, now we're going to continue that all the way down. We're going to work 7 double crochet into the loop that closes the cluster below. So into this space right here, if you can see it, right there, that first chain that we made, we're going to work our 7 double crochet. One, two, three, four, 5, 6, 7. So you have 7 there. And then we're going to single crochet into the single crochet from the row before. So the next 3 stitches are just normal single crochet. And there you go. That is your first full Catherine wheel right here. And now we're just going to continue that all the way down the row. And when we get to the end of the row, I will show you what to do at the end. But I will work the rest of this row and get back to you. Here we are at our last cluster, and we're gonna work this cluster the same way as all the others. We're gonna work 7 double crochet into the loop that closed it. Double check that that's the right count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And now we're just going to work 2 single crochet into the last 2 spaces of our row. Single crochet and single crochet. And here is what our finished row looks like. Now, those are the basic stitches you need to know for this pattern, and every row after that we're just going to be repeating these same stitches. For my pattern, for this blanket, I did 1 row of the base color to start with, I did 3 full circles, so 6 rows of my first color, and 2 rows again of the base color, 6 rows again of the next color, and I just kept repeating that until I had the pattern that I wanted. For all of the actual stitch counts and color changes and all of the details and a border on how I finished it and stuff, all of that is on my website. It's on my blog. I'll have a link to that in the description below if you want to check that out. The pattern is free, and you can also get the PDF premium PDFs available in my shops on Etsy and in my own shop, and also on Ravelry. I'll also leave all of those links down below. But for now, let me show you one more row of how to do your next row. It's basically the same thing that we've done, but we're just going to be working with the same color and working our next row. Okay, so for our next round, we're going to chain 3, turn our work, and this is going to be a half cluster. It's going to be one of the double crochet 4 clusters, because it's the one that's at the end and it's going to get cut off just like how it did on this end. So we are going to work our double crochet 3 together. It's really double crochet 4 together because we're counting our chain as our first double crochet, so we're going to do 3 more. I'm going to skip this first stitch, go into the next one, yarn over, pull up a loop, and work our double crochets like this. Then we're going to yarn over and pull through all 4 loops, and then chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we're gonna work 3 single crochet along the top of our wheel. 1, 2, 3. And now we're just gonna repeat our wheels into these valleys. We're just gonna pick up and double crochet 7 together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you'll feel the difference of when you do our 5th one into our lowest spot. 6, 7. Yarn over and pull through all of the loops, then chain 4. Single crochet into the next 3. And just like that, we're just going to continue down the row. Okay, now here we are at our last valley. So we're going to work the same way we have been. We're going to double crochet 7 together across these 7 stitches. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yarn over and pull through. Chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we're going to just single crochet into the last 2. So the 1 single crochet goes into the space, and then you're going to do our other single crochet into the top of this turning chain right here. So we're going to grab the turning chain and work our single crochet into that. And there you go. Now you have a flat edge again. So we're going to continue working in this pattern until our blanket is going to be the size and the length that we want it to be. I will show you how that looks after a couple of color changes. If you like this blanket but want to make something a bit bigger or a bit smaller than the pattern that I have, I also have a blanket sizing guide available on my website along with a ton of other resources, so you can customize your blankets to whatever size you want. So I have right here, if I can find the page, so you can see right here I have my, don't know if you can see the text, but right here I have my blanket sizing guide. It has 17 sizes here of all these different blanket sizes that you can make, so you can customize your pattern. You can customize any blanket pattern to be the size that you want it to be. I have this as part of just a freebie you can get on the website by itself, or you can get it as a part of the Make It Happen resource pack, which is also available in my shop, and you'll get like a ton of different resources for all kinds of things, all kinds of sizing, charts for knitting and crochet symbols, charts for, all kinds of things. All these resources, abbreviations, needle and hook size guides, all that kind of stuff is in the Make It Happen resource pack, so I'll leave a link to that in the description below as well, so you can check that out. So I started with my white, worked 6 rows of red, and you can tell that because there are 3 full Catherine wheels here, and each one takes up 2 rows. Then I did a stripe of white again, and then 6 rows of orange, again white, yellow, green, blue, and then I had my brown. I repeated all of this entire color scheme a second time. Until I got to my last blue. I ended with a row of white, and I ended on a flat row so that I could attach my border and work a smooth border in brown all the way around the blanket. And that is all there is to it. Okay, so now that you've worked the whole blanket, all that's left to do is add the border. To make this video a little bit more manageable and not super long to watch, I divided that into a second part. So you can click down below for part 2, and that'll show you how to attach this border that goes all the way around and get a nice clean edge on all of the sides for your blanket. And then you are all done. So thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.